this week's podcast is going to be about mistakes that, or I don't know, let me repeat that.
Common mistakes among first season drifters or someone who's just getting into a chassis for the first time.
Yeah, things you don't want to do, things a lot of people do anyways that are not necessary. A tap. You want to learn with not all the best stuff. You don't want to blow all your money and then find out, you don't even like it because you're not that good. And then everyone's making fun of you because your car's like $100,000.
And then you buy a car and you're like, oh, I can't wait to drift this thing this year. And then a week later you sell it and you're like, this isn't really what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and then everyone puts a sad emoji underneath your for sales post. And then one guy's like, dude, I knew it.
No one wants to be that guy.
Just don't.
Including you. You don't want to be that guy.
So we're going to help you guys out. Get right to the basics. I started basically out of high school, so I was totally broke. I took my first car, which was an E30, and I just tried to drift it stock.
The best thing you can do, even if it's dog shit, if you're spinning out the whole time, all the times you spin out are only going to teach you more in the long run. Driving a shitty car will definitely make you a good driver. I think everyone can speak for that. Like, a lot of pro drivers started in Miatas. Like, I can think of Chelsea Denofa.
You started in Miata?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, he used to shred in a Miata. Like, absolutely shred.
Dude, I like Chelsea Denofa already, but now I like him even more. That's sick. So then,
Taylor Ray is another prime example. Maybe he didn't start in a Miata, but he definitely drove a stock Miata for a long time. Or maybe it wasn't even stock, maybe turbo. But regardless, I think the most important thing is probably if you got a decent VLSD or a decent LSD, then you can get away with that for a couple seasons, or not seasons, but a couple events. Like, I think my VLSD and my Z lasted probably 4 events before it like really started slipping.
You got lucky. My first event, I just had a normal LSD out of the stock 318 IS, so it's 4-cylinder. The diff is like this big,
yeah,
and it did not work. So I'd link the first turn, fine, and Club Loose North had a really long swoop,
super long,
which you couldn't do it in like hardly anything.
Dude, once I got that for the first time, I don't think there was a better.
You had to go so wide.
Yeah,
and with
wide.
my LSD, the clutch packs were just blown, so you'd get a quarter of the way, and it would just snap steer. And it'd be a nightmare.
That's another super important point. Like, having a VLSD, you need to be prepared for it. To like, your car is gonna act weird when it starts slipping, and it can even throw you into the wall if you
Oh my God, not good.
Yeah, so that's something to be said for that as well. Like, having a diff that's slipping around corners and stuff can be super dangerous, and there's no point in not getting your diff welded, even if it's a VLSD.
Can you weld a VLSD?
Yeah, I've done a ton of them.
I thought they had a tiny little hole you couldn't even get anything in.
It's not. It depends. The Miata is tiny. I stick welded my first Miata diff because it was the easiest way to do it.
And it worked?
Yeah, dude. I admit.
All right. Because the E30s, the LSDs had a hole this big on both sides, and you couldn't get in there.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the Miata. That's why I stick welded, because the stick rod is like the size of a pen.
You just fit
you can you can jam it down in there. I cranked the amps up and tried to line it up on the gears and fucking hope for the best. And that was when I was 17, 0 experience, and it still lasted. So
I didn't know how to weld, so I brought it to a shop, and the guy just looked at me. He's like, "No, we can't do that."
Yeah.
But yeah, you basically just start with your stock car, find out. Your first event is not going to be. It's going to be fun, but it's not going to be successful in a stock car, 100% stock. But you will figure out what you need to change on the car to make it drift easier without just blowing through your whole savings or lack of a savings like I had.
And the amount that you'll transfer when you do start, it's the simplest things. Weld a diff, coilovers. If you do that while you previously drove your stock car, it's gonna feel like a whole new fucking chassis.
Oh yeah,
which
great.
From that point on, your driving's only gonna get better if you start in a shit car. Like,
and you get more excited too, because a lot of time if you go through a huge checklist and you set the car up, there could be a bunch of things that aren't right. Like your alignment could be wrong, your sway bars, or some sway bars you don't even want in the car. You don't know that yet, so you got to chase back every single thing you did until you figure it out. And then on top of it, you have a car that is totally set up and you still can't drive, and you just look like a clown. Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Which we've all seen it. It's all happened. Guys who just get money, they hop in a chassis that someone else That's the other problem is you see so many people in fucking crazy FD spec cars that are like street drifting and like just doing like grassroots events like us.
Yeah.
And they have a fucking $60,000 FD spec car. And then people that are just getting into drifting see these fucking sick builds and they're like, oh, okay, so that's what you need to do to start drifting. And it's like, no, it's the opposite. You should literally be starting in like the shittiest car ever and fucking going from there, because the amount that you're gonna learn starting in a shit car versus a fucking FD spec car is like, you're gonna be frustrated 100% if you just start in a full spec car and you can't fucking drive for shit. Like, that's more frustrating than if you start in a shit car and you can't drive for shit, because then you have an excuse, you know?
Yeah, like, oh well, dude, it's a Miata. It's got a 1.6 liter engine, okay, dude?
Yeah, there's plenty of excuses, which there always is, but like
it makes the people that can't afford it feel super bad, and they don't even want to start. And they're like, dude, I can't afford that at all. And then you have the kids that are like, they're already loaded, they're not kids anymore, but they have a really good job, and they're like, oh, I can afford that, and they spend all that money they don't need to.
Yeah. Or they build a car for 3 years, drive 2 events, and then like
just keeps blowing up.
Keep building 30 engines. I don't know, dude.
No,
M50 though, it's perfect. Everything's a problem solved.
Yep. So, and I got a Miata now too. That way,
backup drift car. Super important. You got to spend all your money.
Like, dude, don't go into this spending a lot of money. First, get 2 drift cars.
You need one to drive all the time.
Yeah.
And then when that one breaks, you need another one to drive while that one's broken.
You need the FD car spec, then you need the grassroots spec car, and then the tandem missile car.
Dude, I will never fucking forget this. My first event spectating, I pull up to the lot, I'm fucking overwhelmed with so much shit going on. It was the greatest day of my life. And then I see Brian Wadman. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I'm so bad with names, but I know cars.
He's got a Ready 36, an S14, I think.
Jesus.
And I forget what else. But anyway, I pull up, and this dude's got a fucking fifth wheel, like, tractor trailer fucking ramp truck set up, and he's got 3 drift cars in there. And I'm like, oh, that's sick. Like, these guys trailer their cars together. And then my buddy's like, no, that's one person who has 3 cars.
Oh my god.
So like, that's balling different. Like, and you can't, coming into this scene, especially for the first time, like, you can't expect to be at the level of like some of these other dudes that own a business, have a good job, whatever it may be. Like, starting in a $500 Miata or whatever, not that exists anymore, but
I know, sorry kids.
Starting in a cheap chassis or like is better than building a car for 2 years and never drifting.
Yeah.
You should always concentrate on driving before you build anything.
Dude, we should have had Tommy on this podcast.
There's a lot of people though. It's not just Tommy. It's it's loads of people. Like, they get a car, they see all this shit you can buy for their car, and you just, if you have the money, you start spending it, you know? Like, I mean, I don't blame people. If I could do it that way, if I could have did it that way, I'm sure I would have, but
I don't know, like, I kind of went full circle, because I went from having the E30, having no money, and legit, the only thing I could afford to get me drifting was like just a rear really stiff sway bar and Racelands that were $400 at the time.
Yep.
And that was it. And I had a blast. And then finally I started building more serious. And the more serious it got, the less seat time I got. Until finally I went around and then found a Miata, and I'm just doing the bare bones to get it to slide again while the E30 is actually going to be finished.
Yeah.
So I kind of, in both ways, I'm contradicting myself.
Which is fine, because like there's always something to learn in a low horsepower shitty car.
That's why
like
I'm excited
it'll
about
teach you a ton when you go and drive your E30, you know, like
clutch kicking like crazy.
That stuff.
The E30, I never had a clutch kick.
And just like learning how to drive shallow is like super important. Like being able to drive without fucking crazy angle.
Yeah.
And just because that's the important thing. If you can learn to drive shallow in the Miata, you can actually hold like a decent amount of speed. Versus when you start, like as soon as I put my angle kit in my Miata, I started hucking crazy angle, and then there goes all my speed. You
scrub speed so much.
So bad. And you don't have it don't matter how much you fucking clutch kick that thing.
You're not getting Dude, I hear those guys out there.
My old videos, that's all you can hear.
Oh, yeah.
Going around that sweep. Wah, wah, wah. And then the fucking 2-1 downshifts in the back section and shit.
Dude, you have to go to first gear?
I did, and then I blew my transmission up, so I was like,
I'm not doing that thing.
Maybe I shouldn't do that. Because, like, I'd enter in the back section in second, and the whole time around second, it's wah, wah. And then, like, once you get out to that sweeper, I used to have to correct and straighten. I have a video of this. Maybe I'll insert it.
Okay, dude, that'd be sick.
If we're really getting snazzy. But, yeah, like, I would have to straighten up going from the back section into that sweeper and reinitiate just because the car, like, would not come out of the back section in second gear sideways.
It's funny because whenever that happens to me, like the E30 was stock, I go around, I basically keep in second.
Yeah.
And then the second you come around the back, you're like, dude, this is so sick. This is getting the perfect transmission. And then you straighten out and you just, all the like fun emotions just drain out of your body.
RPMs.
I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Dude, it's perfect line. Nope, you just can't. You don't have enough power.
And then I got my Z on a loan for a good amount of money. Not way too much now, in all consideration. But when I got my Z, I drifted it bone stock, and I will never forget the feeling of coming out of the back section with power.
Yeah.
It was the wildest fucking thing I ever experienced.
Yeah,
it was absolutely
because you actually gain speed getting out of there versus losing it all.
Not only gain speed, but you're like, the first time I came out of the back section, holy shit, I can't talk. It felt like I was fucking hauling ass.
What? Because you expected to slow down, you're like,
and I was going probably like 15 miles an hour faster.
Yeah.
But it just felt insane because I had grip and like I could go somewhere in second gear. So little stuff like that will teach you to appreciate a better chassis, more power, whatever it may be. Like,
no, it's such a crazy thing. Like, you don't have any power and you go from a Z, it's night and day. Like, it blows your mind.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't really miss that feeling or that part of drifting because you want to know how spoiled you are with having more power.
It's weird though because I miss my Miata all the time. Like, I miss driving with no power. Like, I don't miss clutch kicking around the whole track and everything, but like, if I could have a fucking 170 horsepower Miata, 160 horsepower Miata, like, I'd be in fucking heaven, dude.
Save money on tires. 4x100 wheels are everywhere for free. I got like 40 of them because the E30 is 4x100 too. And gas, a whole day for like $23 of drifting. It's amazing.
I used to buy a brand new set of Westlakes from
You told
Walmart
me that. I gotta get those.
for like $67, like for a set of tires.
That's so cheap.
Which would last me, when I really started getting into my chassis and like feeling everything out, I'd probably go through 2 sets a day if I was like hot lapping and like really driving hard.
That's nothing.
Which is 120 some odd money in tires, which is fucking. I spend that on a set now. It's literally insane to think about.
Well, look at Matt. Matt with his E90, dude. He's got tires that are this wide, and he sent me a Snapchat. He had like 10 of them, and he's like, "Oh, I got 1 weekend worth of tires." Yeah. I'm like, dude,
Daddy Tardif, dude.
That smokes. So I guess
Daddy Tardif, dude. Shout out Daddy Tardif.
Yep, dude. Real hero here. But so basically, I think we should go over what would be the basic mods to start drifting and what you expect to spend on each one. Yeah. I think that'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's the simple shit. A welded diff and coilovers.
Yep.
I believe everyone ever should start with stock angle, no matter how shit it is. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah,
I know there's so many people that debate that. Like Matt, again, with the E90, he's like, dude, I don't know why everyone's saying don't start with like angle at all. Like he couldn't hold the line very well at all, and then he got an angle kit. He looks like an FD driver out there. He's like, mad smoke.
And like, yeah, it does improve your driving, but it also hurts some aspects of your driving. Like when you're driving a Miata and you scrub that much speed, you cannot get it back.
No,
you have to reinitiate.
Yeah.
Whereas in a higher horsepower car, all those mistakes that you make scrubbing too much speed, you can fucking clutch kick right out of it. And like, yeah, that's fine, but if you start with a fully kitted out car with angle kit, coils, all the full 9, then like, which is pretty much all you need.
Yeah,
an angle kit, coils, a welded diff.
Yeah.
And like, that's end game right there.
Yeah.
Literally end game. All you need to do from that point is maintain your car, like pretty much.
Well, a lot of people like. To this day, I've never had a hydro.
Yeah.
Never had one that worked.
Yeah.
But a lot of people say that's like number one on the list.
Once again, hurts your driving.
I wouldn't know. Yeah. I just know that it slows you down.
Yeah, there's nothing like a fat 3-motion entry or a nice fucking huck into a corner.
That's how I initiate every time.
Into a corner. And when you have a hydro, you would have never learned to do that.
No way.
You would have dragged hydro into every fucking corner, and you would have your car would have fucking, you hear the tire drag, and then all of a sudden you try and exactly.
Dude, Miata, you imagine you're hauling ass, dude. You're going like 27.
Yeah.
And you hit the hydro.
Now you're going.
And then you gotta dump it, and then try to no, not happening.
No, not a chance.
You know what I think we should do, which we're pretty much already on the track. We'll make a video after this podcast. Well, sometime after this podcast. We're going to take the Miata, which I'm already setting up to drift, and we'll just literally drift with the basics that we need, and we'll see how we do with it.
Your car is stock with coils.
It's stock.
Essentially.
It literally has an exhaust, blown, pretty much shitty coilovers.
Yeah.
And then we just welded the diff last weekend.
Yeah, last weekend.
So that was it. The welded diff, it cost me nothing because I take advantage of Anthony every time I can get
it. Happens. It happens a lot.
But realistically, it would cost you probably a couple $100. Or if you got a bro.
If you come to me, a couple $100, I can come to you.
Yeah.
Mobile diff welding.
I'll tell you what, you're not gonna get a cooler mod for your car for under $300. It's
Fuck
sick.
No. And that's the crazy thing. Like, I'll never forget. I won't say any names, but shop in Seabrook, Speed Shop. I've said enough already.
Yeah, I think it's not good.
I took my diff to them, taken out of my car, everything, and I was like, "Can you guys weld this?" And they were like, "Yeah, $450."
What?
And I was like, "No, I just need you to weld it." And they were like, "Yeah, $450 to weld my diff."
Even if you took it out of the car?
Yes, it was out of the car. It was prepped. Like, everything was taken apart, and I was like, I was in an apartment, so I didn't have like access to an outlet outside. I wasn't gonna weld my diff in my apartment.
Yeah. Dude, please comment below if you've welded anything in your apartment, because I know someone has.
It's happened, dude. For sure. Dude, I mean, I got a 220 down in my basement, so dude, don't get me wrong. I've thought about unplugging my dryer to take advantage of that,
I mean, since it's a house, like, you can get away with it.
Yeah.
I almost did, but Lexi would probably be like, what the hell is that smell? It's just bad.
But yeah, no, I mean, regardless, I think if you want to drift, if you really want to drift, you will make it happen in any sort of fashion. If that's buying a $1,500 car no one's ever heard of or ever drifted.
That is the coolest thing, though. That is the coolest thing.
Yeah,
drifting something nobody else has.
Yeah, and like, it's not about spending all your money. It's not about being the hottest boy on the track with your fancy wheels and your kit.
It's a little bit.
It is, but starting out, the only thing you should be worried about is going around a corner and spinning out and figuring out what you need to do to not spin out. Taking advice from all the people at Nedco, like, that's huge. There's so many helpful people.
They help a lot. And they'll even sit in the car if you want. But I'll never forget just the first turn, sliding the E30 probably 300 feet and then spinning out. I was smiling for like 30 minutes after because like, dude, I slid a car. I think not even good, but
the coolest thing that I had at my first event was like, I paid $150, and if I were to get a reckless op on a fucking in some cul-de-sac, like about to hit a curb,
oh god,
what would that cost me?
Yeah,
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and a fucking on my driving record, everything else.
Not to mention if you have a CDL like me, game over, dude. And then when you don't have a job, you can't buy drift car stuff, dude. So you got to keep it going.
Yep, unless you sell drugs.
Which, I mean...
Thought about it.
Yeah. We don't condone that. Comment below, though, like, what you would do for drift car parts legally. You know what would be cool? Alright. You got to pick what car you would start with, what your budget is, and then the mods for that car. We'll each come up with one.
Talking in today money? Today money?
So, it's got to be realistic.
I don't even know what the market is like. I know
we can look it up. We'll look it up on here. We'll look it up on Google, and this will be fun because when I started drifting, I had a McDonald's paycheck. I would bring home like $47 some weeks. And that's all I could afford. I paid off the E30. I bought it cash because I saved up. But after that, dude, I had to figure out how to pay.
Yeah.
So
and there's nothing better than driving the bank's car. I mean...
What?
Dude, just think about it.
So you would finance your drift car, you're saying?
I did.
To these young kids.
Yeah, well, alright. Here's the thing.
Alright, this is good. This is good, though. We'll have totally separate
This is good. So, my first Miata was $3,000. And it was absolutely beautiful spec of a Miata.
Should be back then for $3,000.
Rust-free. It was tit. I regret nothing about taking $13,000 from the bank and then a month later possibly throwing my car at a wall and potentially crashing. I've got no regrets, dude, because I would have never had that money to buy that car ever, dude.
Yeah, but you didn't have the money to wreck it either.
No, but that's why the bank gave it to me, dude. Like,
what would be your game plan if you totaled it?
Oh, man.
Would you just have to not make the payments and they'll come take it?
No, I'd make the payments and
What was your payment a month?
It was like $250.
I couldn't afford that back then. There's no way I could afford it.
Well, I had a trade out of high school. I was working since I was fucking 17 in a shop welding. So I had good experience when I got out of high school.
Okay, yeah, you're fucking leaps, bounds ahead of me back then. So
that definitely helped. But I still couldn't fucking save $13,000.
No way.
That would have taken me 10 fucking years. From 17 to fucking 27.
No way.
Would have probably taken me.
Did you live at home or did you have?
Oh, I was on my own. I was in an apartment with my ex.
That's another thing. You don't have enough money to move out on your own, but you have enough money to not eat.
To eat ramen for a month.
So you can spend.
So you can buy a rep set of wheels off of Juku for $600.
Oh come on, dude! I got $395. I paid for my fake BBS.
These are nice spec.
Oh, okay. These are bad. These are real bad.
Nice
They're
spec.
all bent. They look like fucking. They're all crazy going down the road. But when you live at home and you make no money, you can spend the only money you have on the car parts. When you have rent, that's a different story. That's hard.
Here's my best advice. If you really want to drift from a young age, your drift car should be your daily.
Absolutely.
It needs to be the all-around car. You can't have your daily and your drift car when you're starting out.
Nope.
You need to bite the bullet, destroy your chassis if you live in New England with salt. Undercoat your drift car. That's huge.
But you're also going to get mad props.
Mad props.
Dude, if you see
mad
a slammed
you
Z
go.
or a slammed 240...
In the middle of a fucking blizzard, dude.
Absolutely. I'm giving that guy a thumbs up hanging out my window. Because I've been there.
And then, not only that, the memories you create of almost fucking dying driving your drift car through a blizzard on your way home from Concord with your boy Brian. Nothing better, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing better.
Dude, when I got the highway department job the first winter, the E30 had no heat.
Perfect. Me too.
At all. No defrost. Slammed. And I had to drive like 30 minutes to a blizzard.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's snowing, come on in. And I literally couldn't see out anything.
You know what I bought when I went through that? Because my fucking heater core blew. And I was like,
was
I'm
it
not
BMW?
fucking dealing with that. No, it was a Miata. I was like, yeah, that's a fucking nightmare. Even though it wasn't really that bad to deal with. So I drove for a whole winter without heat too. And I bought one of those fucking cigarette lighter defrosters that's like this big.
I bought the same thing. It was yellow and it had a handle.
Mine was red and it was fucking useless.
Oh god, dude, it didn't work. Didn't work. It blew the fuse to my lighter. It blew the fuse to it. And like I got it as a birthday gift because my stepmom was like, I know you can't like afford to fix the heater core.
So let's just put a fucking shitty Band-Aid
it blew
on
a hole right. It didn't even work. It's a thought that counts.
But my point is, if this is a sport you want to get into, no matter what, you will figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
You will figure out something.
Not to mention if you do at least one event first, then you're motivated. You're like, okay, it's worth it.
100%.
It's worth driving this.
Just getting a ride along. Like I don't know how many people have been sold off a ride along.
I
alone. Like
I brought my car.
People.
I drove right along Saturday. I brought the E30 stock the Sunday.
Yeah.
And I did horrible. Yeah. But it was a blast, dude. Changed my life.
Yep. For the worse.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. But like, what's the cheapest drift car that you can get into it now, but also you can daily it?
I think the cheapest drift car, like, that doesn't really exist. In my opinion, if you have the money, then the best thing you can do is buy a chassis that you're not going to outgrow in a year. That was kind of my problem, is like probably 2 years into drifting my Miata, and I owned it for 4, was like I outgrew the chassis in 2 years. Like,
what?
I needed more
just 'cause
power.
it's really small.
No, just because like I was at a point where I couldn't advance my driving unless I had more power.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't.
You basically plateau, and then you're stuck with trying to turbo a daily Miata.
Exactly what I tried to do.
It's not gonna.
I spent probably $1,500 in turbo parts and fucking lost probably 3/4 of that money.
Yeah.
Like just because by the time I sold my Miata, I had all these turbo Miata parts that like I couldn't get rid of for whatever fucking reason. And then they just sat, and eventually I like literally gave some of it away.
I don't know anyone that dailies a turboed Miata through the winter.
There's someone else.
It must be so hard.
This guy that I used to know, Mike Dion, did it. I don't think it lasted very long, but anything is fucking possible. Like
the Miata is so reliable, you can't kill the thing until you start turboing it.
Which is everything.
Yeah.
Literally everything. NA is best.
Yeah, that's why I put headers on my Miata, basically to be like, no, you spent this much money on the Miata's headers, don't turbo it.
Another prime point to make. Prime point.
Prime.
Podcast name? Prime Point?
Prime Point Podcast. Or like a pen company. It's like a pen company name.
Another thing to very much consider when thinking about buying a drift car, look up Maintenance. Look up how to do a wheel bearing on that car. Look up how to take the diff out.
Don't fucking do it.
Look up
Don't do it.
how to do the brakes. Make sure you don't need a BMW specialty tool to fucking take your clutch fan off and everything else.
Don't look it up. Because
No.
if I had an E30, right?
You would have never owned it.
And I looked up anything about it. Nope. Don't do it.
No, you should do it.
If I looked up, Miata diff, yeah, that's easy to come out. Yeah, it can't be that difficult. No,
what's a
especially
PPF?
at high school. At high school, no way would I tackle that job. I did, but you know why I did? Because I had to.
Exactly.
I was forced to.
Which is the only way you learn. No matter what, at the end of the day, if you can fuck something up royally, there's still a way to fix it. Like, there's still...
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it might cost you more money. Never be afraid to tackle something, because, like, no matter what, it's just nuts and bolts. It's just metal. Like, it can always be fixed. And the amount that you'll learn fucking it up way outweighs paying someone else to do it.
It's true.
Who knows what they're doing.
Especially if you don't have money and it's your daily.
You don't have a fucking choice.
You're figuring it out.
Yeah, you don't have a
You're figuring it
choice.
out. Otherwise, you're not getting to work and you got no money.
But no, highly recommend doing your research on cars. Don't just buy something because you saw it on the track and you know people drift them. Like, that's a fucking terrible idea.
Yeah.
Like, know what you're getting yourself into, because you will break shit. Like, shit'll go wrong. We're beating the fuck out of these cars in an intention that they weren't made for.
No.
So,
and then we're modifying stuff that's even worse. Like,
yeah, be prepared to fucking... I mean, the amount of wheel bearings I've gone through in my Z, I don't know why.
Yeah.
But, like, it's fucking insane.
Are you getting the good ones?
Yeah, I buy them from Z1.
Okay.
I think I'm just, like...
Torquing them wrong?
Yeah. AKA not torquing them.
I went through, I believe, 6 right-hand drive wheel bearings for the E30.
Yeah.
And it was because I was getting the cheap ones, and I finally got the FAG ones.
Yep.
And that's a real
FAG.
company. Yeah, they are. They're called FAG
I think
bearings.
we need to cancel them, dude.
They are.
I don't know.
It's red lettering. Look it up. I'm not kidding. Those are the good ones you want. What would you...
Is there like apostrophe or like...
No.
Wow, okay.
It's big letters all across the white box.
I don't know how they got it. And ISIS had to change their name.
I know. Well,
and FAG can be a car manufacturing company.
It's
Bring back ISIS.
No, whoa. You heard it here, folks.
Dude, my coilovers say ISIS in my fucking
No way.
Yeah,
those are gonna be worth money in like
stoked,
20 years.
Dude, I love them.
Before they change the name, dude. Hell yeah. But what would be if you worked like a high school job and you want to get in drifting? What would your car of choice be?
Right now, it would fucking... I don't even know. Like, it would... I'd probably get sucked into being a fucking BMW kid.
E36 kid?
Yeah, like E46s are super cheap right now. Like 5 Series cars are fairly cheap.
Dude, well, right now, just off Facebook Marketplace, convertible 1995 BMW 36, $2,500.
Yeah, which like that was my budget when I was a kid. That was like what I could spend on a car. Like spending $3,000 on a Miata was like,
that's up there.
I was fucking terrified, dude. I was incredibly scared. I didn't know what I was doing looking at a car. Like I just like drove it and was like, this is a car. Like this drives perfect.
Isn't it funny how like again, things come full circle. You go to look at a car and you don't know anything about it, so you're terrified. Yeah. Until finally you learn about cars and you show up, you don't even look at it. You're like, dude, whatever happens, I can tackle it.
Yeah.
Or like the Miata, I barely looked at. I'm like, it looks like it's got nice paint. It's clean.
Yeah, someone looked like they semi took care.
Yeah, they took care of it.
Yeah. And that's another thing. I would highly recommend if you're gonna buy a drift car, don't buy it from someone who's drifted it before you.
Do not do that.
And if you do, you better be getting a good deal on loads of other parts and shit like that. You should be finding an E46 parked in some fucking grandpa's driveway I don't know, whatever the circumstances
you need some old lady that drove it to church.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen, you're going to buy this sick drift car. Like, oh, dude, you got Jared's old E36? That's sick. Yeah. The wide body totally hides the wall damage.
Yeah, Jerry beat the fucking piss out of that car for 6 seasons. I remember that thing. Dude. And then as soon as you go someone drive it, everything that should have happened to Jerry happened to you.
Yeah, it all explodes.
Yeah, dude.
They're like, oh, dude, you managed to align that thing? What? What do you mean? You look behind it while you're driving, it's going sideways.
Dude, we had to shift the whole subframe just to align it.
Oh, yeah, dude. Oh, he threw up in that car every time he took it out.
But, yeah, like I said, unless you're getting a smoking deal on a, like, well-built drift car with loads of parts, and you're willing to possibly go through breaking stuff that is on its way out from someone beating the piss out of it, then you need to be prepared for that. Like, you do. You're gonna break more shit if you buy a dedicated drift car that's been beaten the piss out of. Because there's probably a reason they're getting rid of it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's probably on its way out.
Oh, yeah.
Like, people don't just sell built drift cars unless they, like, want another chassis or...
Yeah, hey, man, you know, this was just too good. I want to get rid of it.
Yeah, that doesn't exist. Unless you're loaded.
You should do what my buddy Jake did. So, I believe he bought a 350Z from a dealer back when I was in high school. So they weren't that much money. And he ended up dailying it, got into drifting, and loved it so much. Dailied it year-round, full cage, the 350Z, dailied it.
Yep.
Then he moved to Vegas in the cage 350Z, drove it to Vegas with everything he could fit in there.
Who is this?
Jake Foley.
I respect Jake Foley.
Dude, he's the man.
I respect him.
And now he lives in Vegas. I haven't seen him in a long time. He might not even live there anymore, but he started drifting before I did, so I saw him and I was just like, that's all cred.
Yeah.
That's all cred.
Yeah. And dude, like, I enjoy streeting my drift car. There's nothing better than rolling down the street in your drift car.
Yeah.
There's nothing better. Driving to a track in your drift car, seeing all these people with their beautiful trucks and trailers and their sick drift car, and you're just driving next to them in the fast lane, fucking tires on your roof.
They're rolling coal in your windows because they don't go up. That's what Dimitri did to me in my E30.
I think I remember you telling me that.
It's like, goddamn. But even when you have like 3 friends doing that, it's like you're all in it together.
No shit.
You can go anywhere, go down like Manchester or something, just do backfires down the streets. It's fun, and I think this sounds corny, but it always makes you grow as a person.
Fuck yeah, it does, dude. Like, struggling you'll always come out on top eventually. Like, if you ever struggle with anything, there is some kind of breaking point where you either learn something, usually it's the hard way, but like you still learned something, and like all the things that I went through my first couple years of drifting, all the frustration, the shit I fucked up, it was all worth it. It was all entirely worth it, and nothing ever really was so detrimental that it stopped me from either wanting to drift or finding a way to drift. Like, I always worked it out one way or another.
Part of the game, man. Yeah. Part of the game. But what do you think the budget would be for a basic...
Today,
it's so hard to tell. Everyone has different jobs, but let's say McDonald's, or a job like McDonald's, is $15 an hour now, I believe. I think it's $15 an hour. Also, if you guys are watching this now and you don't have a drift car yet, it probably is gonna be. It was gonna be a lot easier when you got all those stimulus checks. But if you're living at home, I don't think you got those anyways. I mean, but you would have had $3,000 by now. A little over 3, yeah.
If you saved all of it.
I didn't. I bought tires. I like tires and random stuff.
Yeah, dude. Sponsored by Biden.
Yep, dude. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was to do it again,
I would take out another loan.
No,
yeah,
no,
dude.
You can't do it.
I see no other way.
You can't.
Go to DCU. They'll give fucking anyone a loan.
They have the anything that moves deal, and I think it's like 1.5% or 2.5%.
And they'll give you way too much money to spend, put you in debt for the next 30 years. You're basically paying a mortgage payment to own a car. Dude, there's nothing better.
I hope that someone does that and then can comment on the video like 2-3 years from now. Like, you ruined my life.
I have a 400 credit score.
Oh god.
But But no, dude, like really, if I was 17 again, I don't know what I would do right now.
I think
to try and get into drifting.
I think I like to play like, oh, dude, I was responsible. I wouldn't take out a loan. I couldn't pay for it. No, my credit score was a potato, so I couldn't get anything.
DCU fucking hooked me up.
I didn't have DCU. I had Citizen Bank, and they would bill me like $35 every late payment, and I was like, that was half my paycheck. Oh god, don't go to Citizens Bank ever.
Or TD. Fuck TD Bank.
TD. I had them too. They suck. DCU, if you want to finance your dreams, okay? 100%. Do that.
No cosigner needed.
Nope.
They'll give you $20,000, no credit score. Look them up.
We're
at a 32.99 interest rate.
Well, dude, I mean, if you make the minimum, I mean, they won't come take it from you. But right now I'm on Facebook Marketplace, so I'm just cruising looking for affordable stuff. Basically, for me, affordable would be a Dream World under $3,000.
I've got a good one. Beat G35s.
Beat G35s.
04, 05, 03.
I want the 4-door standard.
Good luck.
I almost got one before I got the X5. But they had like $194K and someone else bought it.
Yeah.
At the auction. I was pissed.
Yeah. Those are hard to come by. They're fucking baller though.
Coupe or sedan, I'll just do whatever.
Coupe is way easier to find, especially in a 6-speed.
Now, I think it's going to be a lot cheaper getting an auto one, but you're not going to want to drift an auto. Some people do.
That's another proven point, though, is like autos will never be as beaten as a standard car.
That's why you throw a stick shift in it. But how much is a G35 transmission?
They're the shitty ones, so I don't know right now. Like, I have no clue, but they can't be more than between $400 and $600.
Here we go, guys. All right, 2000. Oh, never mind. Sorry, it was a 2006 and fitted G35X, so that's not going to work.
No.
All-wheel drive. Someone in the comments can be like, "Oh, you can't. You can drift all-wheel drive. Ken Block does it." Sorry, Jesse.
I'm trying to think what else.
Oh God, dude, these are still pricey. We're looking at $4,000, $6,700.
That's what you're gonna have to spend these days, dude.
I won't.
Unless you buy a fucking piece of shit BMW. Because there's so many of them.
I think you're right.
And I hate to say that because I fucking hate BMWs with my whole heart. And all of my friends drive them. I don't fucking get it.
I like BMWs. I like 350Zs, but I don't like because everybody has one.
Which
it's like
is
you
fair.
see a tandem of 350Zs, you're like, I'm gonna get a hot dog.
I like BMWs. Would never want to fucking work on them ever.
You get used to it. You get used to it. It eventually breaks your soul.
Fuck you and your fucking Torx heads and all your other horse shit, dude.
Oh.
I'll stick to my fucking 10 mils, 12s, 17s, and 22s. Call it a fucking day. Take my whole.
Oh, you made a plastic thermostat housing. Okay. Oh, hey, you made a plastic water pump fan. A water pump. Yeah, that's a fan. Dude, my E46 blew the water pump apart, sent plastics all through my water jackets. I was like, that's a good design. So you gotta replace all that. But that's an E46, that's different.
But, dude, like, I'm sure I'm blanking on some stuff, but, like, I'd love to say an old Corolla. Don't even fucking exist.
They're like $10,000 now.
I know.
And, I mean, you could.
When I was looking for my first car, they were fucking $2,000, $3,000 for like. I'm trying to think what I was looking at back then. Like coupe Corollas. Not like an 8.6, but like an older Corolla.
I thought those were front-wheel drive.
Mm-mm.
How old are we talking?
Like 80s.
80s?
Yeah.
Wait, that's what
like the KE70.
Okay.
It was like that, but it was a Corolla. They're square body. They're fucking cool as fuck.
They are really cool. I think your best bet, if you want to save money, you don't want to finance something, go to a public auction and find something rear-wheel drive. You might be able to scoop it up for like $1,000, maybe $2,000. But here's the secret: when you go and you look at the car you think you want, pop the hood and pull one of the coils off. So when it comes to the auction block, it runs like garbage. Put the thing back on. Boom.
Good idea.
$600 car.
Good idea.
Yeah. I'm gonna get sued now for that. E46s right now are all over here for like $2,000 to $3,000. So E40, dude, $1,500. It's a 232, worst E4060 ever made. But for $1,500, you could get a BMW luxury.
You could start drifting tomorrow.
You could start drifting. The 232s have a lot of electrical issues, but that's how you learn, guys.
I hate sounding like a boom boom, but street drifting, it's cool. It's sick.
It's absolutely cool.
You and all your friends can gain mad street drifting clout off the internet
and
when you drop a banger street drifting video. However, the amount of shit that I fucked up on the street, like my own car, like wheels I've curbed.
Don't go near curbs. Do a parking lot.
There's curbs in parking lots, dude. There's fucking curbs everywhere on the street. Know where there's no curbs?
Dirt.
Most drift tracks I've been to.
Oh yeah, there's only Jersey barriers.
And like, there's a weird sense of you don't worry about cops, you don't worry about bystanders or cars parked on the road. There's all these things that you think about when you're street drifting.
You get nervous.
Yeah, and like, you're nervous on a track, but like, you can really hone in on your car. You're not worrying about a curb or a fucking parked car, and that alone teaches you tenfold.
Yeah.
If you drifted for 2 years on the street, like, you'd turn into a savage, and like, I'm sure you'd learn. But like, you could learn that 2 years worth of street driving in 4 events.
Yeah, pretty much, and you don't have to worry about it. And everyone sees those takeover videos where like the kids are drifting, but whatever,
doing donuts.
Okay,
that is not drifting.
They're doing donuts, but some guys do figure eights, so that's close. But anyways,
doing donuts is drifting.
They get it in their brain, right? There's a huge cloud, like huge cloud of people, and somehow their brain doesn't know that there's a giant utility pole in the middle of the parking lot. Everyone's seen like 400 videos. They drive directly into it, total the car.
Yeah.
Or like there's a parking lot, an embankment, and another one, and they think they connect and they just drive over the thing.
And that's a super simple. It's literally called like target acquisition or like I can't
target fixation.
Target fixation. Yeah. There we go. And like that, literally all that means is when you're drifting and you see a fucking pole, like your mind just immediately goes to that pole and you start looking at it, and then all of a sudden your car is corrected into the pole and your new car is totaled.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing
the bank's new car.
If you're doing donuts in a parking lot, let's be honest.
I know. It happens.
Probably a new car. Probably just got it. You're probably trying to learn to do donuts.
Traction control's still on. You can't figure out how to shut it off.
I've seen it. But
I mean, I think the going cars right now for cheap are the BMWs. And it's almost like E30 was cheap, now it's dumb money. E36 was cheap, now they're pretty dumb money. E46 next on the list. So you want to scoop up an E46 because right now they're pretty cheap, and even E90s are getting close to E36 prices depending on how nice of a car it actually is. Like Matt got his from an auction, and I think he got it like $3,000 or something super cheap like that.
And that's the other fuck thing. Like, once again, I'm going back to financing.
It's okay, dude.
But if
I like having two separate views on something.
Just think about it. If you had $3,000 to buy a car,
yep,
you could then go to a bank, tell them I have $3,000 to put down. I want to borrow another $3,000. Now you have double the money.
It's the worst idea.
No, but just hear me out.
God.
Sometimes you get lucky, and you can. Delica, perfect example. Got it real cheap.
No problems.
Loads of problems. Probably has a cracked head.
No payment.
But I got more car than if I would have not borrowed money from the bank.
Well, it is a van.
That too, but
yeah, you wouldn't have been able to pay something cash that cool. There's no way.
No. And my point to that is, if you can buy a slightly newer car, slightly better condition, that is going to cost you less in the long run than if you buy a 30-year-old car and you start drifting it when the only thing it's been used for is to go get fucking Grammys, like, go to Market Basket
church once a Sunday.
Yeah, like when you start driving that car, bushings will fall out of it because they're crusted.
What are you doing to me?
The only actuation those bushings have had are from speed bumps.
Yeah, that's it. And now your body rolling like 90 degrees over the backdrop in the Nedco parking lot. That
your whole rear
blow
end
your
falls out.
car apart.
But no, like, I couldn't do it right now. I really couldn't. I wouldn't have the fucking $5,000, $3,000 to buy a car that I want, because I fucking wouldn't want a BMW starting out. I didn't when I started out then. I wouldn't fucking want one now.
So then what would you want?
I don't know. I have no fucking clue.
Well, you have a Z.
Here's the thing too, is like, deals pop up all the time. It took me at least 6 months to find my Z. 8 months, between 6 to 8 months.
That's a long time.
And I wasn't looking in just New England. I had like a fucking 500-mile radius. Like, I was looking anywhere. And finally, I think it was like 6 months into me looking for a Z, I found one. I found the one I wanted to go look at. It was in fucking Bayonne, New Jersey. I drove 6 hours to go look at this car.
Jeez.
Just to go look at it. I didn't even, like, from an ad, you know, like sight unseen. I didn't know if it was gonna be clapped. Like, I didn't know what I was getting into. I got real lucky. Some kid in the Navy or some military branch owned it. Another one. Okay. He fucking, once again, drove the thing in a straight line. Probably grinded some gears now and then, which is why fifth isn't too happy. But regardless, I got lucky and I took the time to find a car, whereas like a lot of people, they'll have the cash, they'll find something right away and they'll just go buy it. Whereas if you spent that 6 months, you could have gotten half the miles on a different car, you know, or on the same car, and like way less beat or what have you.
It's funny because like I was the total opposite. You know how many cars I looked at? I just bought almost right there, but I didn't have enough money.
Me too, pretty much all.
The E30, I don't even know what it was.
I'm not following my own advice at all.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, I'm just telling what I've learned. You know,
that's a good idea.
Because pretty much when I went to go drive 6 hours to go see that Z, I was like, yeah, I'm buying this thing, but I just want to make sure that it's okay.
And the guy's like, yeah, you drove here 6 hours, you're buying it, buddy.
Which is like, that's the tough part with going to look at a car too, because like, you already have all these things in your mind. You're fucking visualizing being behind the wheel.
You didn't sleep the whole night before. You looked up every single mod you could do before you even went there.
Yeah, and then you show up and you're expecting to buy a car.
You're watching exhaust videos on YouTube about it before you buy it.
All of it. Looking at how much turbo kits are if you're really fucking stupid.
I know. Dude, it's so fun.
Yeah. But my point is, you will know when it's the right car, even if you know nothing.
Yeah, I think so too.
You'll just have a feeling, and you should always go off your gut. Like, even when you don't fucking know a single thing. Like, if something speaks to you, then just chase it, you know?
I think a big problem, at least I had growing up, was your parents want to look out for you. And everything that you have interest in is a huge red flag for your parents. They don't want something that's rear-wheel drive. They don't want something that's fun. They want something that's safe, good on gas. You don't want that.
Which, from a parent's perspective, things that are safe are just like bigger vehicles.
Yeah,
and
they want you in a Ford Mercury Mountaineer. That's what they want.
And like, those aren't always safer cars. No. Like, more mass going down the road, like, that's equally as dangerous as fucking driving a small coupe car, not like a Miata.
A Miata is just bad. Like, if my parents they wouldn't let me get a Miata, I guarantee it. The only thing that saved me from getting the E30 was I couldn't drive standard when I bought it, so my dad had to test drive it, and he never drove like a BMW before. So every single like mile down the road, he's like, "Oh my god, this thing rides like a cloud. It's so comfortable. It handles so good," and he was hyped on it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, Oh my god, dude.
I'm sold.
It's
Perfect.
standard. It's got pleated leather door cards. I'm like, what? And my dad was totally on board because it was a heavy tank of a car to him.
Yeah.
But that's everything else I looked at. I looked at a Mitsubishi Eclipse. Couldn't get it.
The first story I told in this podcast about the RX-7. Pete's dad, Bob, was a fucking legend.
Pete's dad, Bob?
Yeah. Bob was a legend, and he owned cool Toyotas. He knew a thing about a thing. Pete did not want to tell his dad he was buying any rotary engine anything, and that's what he was set.
Of course.
Yeah, because his dad knew, like,
there's no way it's gonna blow up.
So we're driving home from fucking bumfuck Vermont. Another key part to this story, we didn't have an inspection sticker on Duncan's truck, so that month was a yellow sticker. You know what these fucking crafty fuckers did?
What?
My buddy Pete and Duncan, they went to our local Richdale's, bought a packet of the yellow American Spirits, and fucking put it in the corner of the windshield.
No, they did.
Yeah, they were so scared about not having an inspection sticker. But I was like, that's the smartest fucking thing I've ever seen.
Because you couldn't get in trouble for it.
None of us smoke cigarettes, okay? We are on our way from Pete buying this RX-7. His mom's calling him non-stop. Where are you? Like, what's going on? Because we were supposed to be gone for the day and, like, back later. Didn't even know that he was going to look at a car. They had no idea. So Pete's mom's calling him and he will not answer. He's fucking terrified. We're still fucking 3 hours from home. We're not going to be home till way late. Pete is chain smoking cigarettes. He does not smoke
He's
at
so
all.
stressed out.
He was so stressed out. He was grabbing them from the dash and just like literally chain smoking cigarettes. Does not smoke cigarettes.
Gross. I'd throw up.
Dude, I remembered that like a week ago and I was like, fuck, I totally should have brought that up. So here I am taking it now.
Did they end up getting the rotary?
Yeah, he got it.
No way.
And then he told his dad, and his dad was fucking livid.
Yeah, of course.
Didn't even want it in the driveway.
Yeah, that's
would not even let it in the driveway. So Pete stored his car in my fucking grass yard for like the first month that he owned it, and would like, we were 5 minutes away from each other. He'd like walk down and, you know, take it out every now and then. And then eventually his dad came around and, you know, we kind of started getting into it, and he kind of thought it was cool, but didn't want to admit it. And like, at the end of the day, Pete did what he wanted to do, and he was happy for it. He didn't listen to his stupid fucking parents. All right, so don't let them influence what you want to do.
Yeah.
If you want to buy a rotary, retarded, folded in half,
don't
FC,
even work.
Don't worry about it, dude. You buy that.
They
car.
think they own you because they clothe you.
They don't own you, dude.
Fed you, pay all your fucking clothes and everything, and you live in their house.
This is your life, dude. If you want to never buy anything ever again, buy a rotary vehicle.
If anything, the parents should be more excited because the kid can never leave.
Exactly.
They'll just hang out with them all the time because the rotary's not working. I would not advise buying a rotary engine for your first car. I just wouldn't. I think it's sick and a total flex.
If you want to do that, then I think you know enough what you're getting yourself into.
You're the kid that draws skulls in math class if you buy like an RX-8 rotary engine.
RX-8s, yes.
Yeah.
The worst.
It's bad.
Yeah, the worst.
Don't buy those.
No.
So yeah, I would definitely do a BMW just because you can get E46 or an E36 or even a really beat E90 for like $3-ish grand. Some E90 a little bit higher, but you can get that. You can daily it, and then all you need to drift is weld the diff. And then from there, you can start figuring out what you want. If you want coilovers, do a front sway bar delete. That always helps.
Sometimes you barely have to do that. Like I said, if you have a fairly healthy VLSD or LSD, you can at least get away with going and driving 1 or 2 events, and then you will feel it. It's not locking anymore. That's when you go weld it.
Yeah. I mean, I've even seen, there's one Miata kid at the track. He was slaying the whole course with one-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And it was really crazy. Like, he spun out a lot, but he killed a lot of it.
Yeah.
So just go out there and have fun.
As long as it's a rear-wheel drive car, you can make it happen.
Yeah.
You might spin out in the meantime, but you will make it happen. You are doing the thing, and that's what matters.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if it's fucking at the lowest possible level of doing it. You're doing it, and
you're
that's
doing
what
it.
matters.
You're there. You're making the effort. Just that first event, you're gonna make so many new friends, and like everyone at every racetrack is
and insane
awesome.
memories that you will never forget
it's so
for the rest
fun.
of your life. But on that note, always remember too, the market's going to change. Prices of everything is going to change, whether that's parts like it already has, tires, cars. That could be for the better, it could be the worse. Right now, BMWs, they're a cheap entry
They're
into
cheap
drifting.
now. This could change in a month. We don't know.
So always be on the lookout. Always look at different stuff. Never be afraid to experiment and just do your research.
Yep. But that's going to do it for this week's podcast. Please comment below what you guys would pick for your first drift car / daily, what your budget is, and we'll comment back as much as we can, really.
And also comment what was your first drift car if you've already been through a couple or you're still on your first.
Yeah, I want the comment section to be a total discussion. That's why we make these, because we want to have different ideas and stuff like that. And we just have a fun time talking about cars with you guys. So please like, subscribe, and thanks for watching, guys. We will see you next week.
Never do that again.
Why?
I'm just kidding.
I nailed it! Like, fuck! See you next week, even though it's been 3 months.
Hey, we're here. We're doing it. We've done 2 in a row in 2 weeks. We're on top of it.
Also, we got racing gloves. So
super nice, by the way.
Super, dude.
I'm literally fucking hate gloves, and I'm really gonna actually try and wear these this season.
They're real Nomex. They're fireproof. I take my lasagna out of the oven with them.
They feel really nice.
They're great, and it even has a funny little saying for all the Z kids.
And they're bright neon pink, so everyone can see your hands whipping while you're doing absolutely hectic entries at grassroots drift events.
So yeah, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We got all of it. We're gonna give away a pair of these. I'm not sure what competition yet. It might be just a photo contest, but if you want a pair of these, follow all our stuff, I guess. Oh, we even got a wrench, dude.
You can use that for multiple things.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be an AN wrench, but if you're smart, you don't have AN fittings on your car. Let's be honest.
Dude. All right, we out.